Hey, it's Jenn.speedd here. Today is a day that I did not think was going to come so soon. We are selling the R7. My favorite bike by far that we own is going to a new home today. And I've always wanted to do this video where I came on here and just chatted and yapped my mouth about it. So I'm going to do it before it goes to a new home in a few hours. Our R7 is a 2023, and we have owned this bike since it had 300 miles on it. We rode the heck out of this bike. This is the first bike I have ever been on, the first motorcycle. My husband is actually the one that taught me how to ride. I love that memory with him. That was such an intimate experience for us. Honestly, I had never swung my leg over the back of a motorcycle until we bought this bike. So this bike means so much to me. It has a special place in my heart. And I'm sad to see it go, but also really excited for someone to experience the joy on this bike like I did. So a little bit of backstory on how we ended up with this bike. Last year in 2024, May of 2024 to be exact, and I still remember the exact same day. It was May 25th. My husband calls me on the way home from work. He had took my car. It was the very first day of summer break. The kids were out. So he took my car to work and he called me and said he was in the middle of the highway. Car won't crank. Very nice car. They're supposed to be very reliable. It's a big SUV. Come to find out, a day later, we start troubleshooting this car, and the entire motor has locked up, and the block is cracked in this car. It's going to be a $15,000 to $20,000 job to repair, and at the time, we were financially strapped, and repairing that car was not an option. So we took a huge, major loss on a $40,000 car. We ended up selling for 12 grand. That 12 grand and that car blowing up was the best thing that could have ever happened to us. We took that 12 grand and we invested it into this motorcycle right here, this R7. And damn the memories. That was probably the best case scenario of things that could happen. Actually was the hardest time of our life, the darkest times of our life, but we got through it and we're on the up. Financially still struggling just a little bit. So out on a whim, we get on Facebook Marketplace and we find this bike. It was originally listed, I think, for like 10.5 or 11, and we got it down, got it for a pretty good deal, and the rest is history. My husband learned first, took his MSF course, and next day we were going and getting this bike, and then a couple months after that, I learned. My parents were not thrilled about either one of us being on a bike, and especially did not want me on the back of a bike. To this day, they still cannot stand that I ride motorcycles. But so if any of you are watching this and you have parents that have opinions, it is what it is. Move on. Everybody's going to have an opinion, so just keep doing you. There's always been some controversy about this bike. You either love them or you hate them. People that hate them, in my opinion, don't know anything about them and never rode them enough to experience what they're made for. So it's not a 600. I think they top out around 72 to 74 horsepower, which is actually pretty good for a bike of this size, only on a 2-cylinder. Most your 300s and your 400s, they're more at that 40 horsepower range. So the R7 to me is that perfect beginner bike that still has enough power to get you where you need to go. Now, you're not going to go wide open on the interstate on this bike. I mean, you can get in triple digits, no problem. It's never going to get out of hand on the speed range. To me, most people recommend having a 300 or a 400 bike to start off with, but honestly, the R7 I think is the perfect beginner bike. They're just so agile. They're light. They're easy on the throttle. It's hard to make mistakes on this bike. Considering the fact that I learned on an R7, this was my very first motorcycle I ever rode. I think they're a great beginner bike, and you can try to tell me otherwise. You can try to tell me the R7 is a terrible bike, but I disagree. I will never, ever believe that. To me, the people that are saying that this is a bad bike are people that are only worried about speed and thinking horsepower and speed is what makes a motorcycle. Comparing this bike, this R7 to a 600, a lot of people try to compare the R7 to the R6 and think that this bike was a contestant to the R6, and that's farthest from the truth. This is not a 600. This bike isn't. It has a 700cc motor. and it was not made to do things that the R6 was made to do. So stop comparing it to the R6 because it wasn't ever meant to be compared or replicated from the R6. So now that that's out of the way, let's go back to the R7 and talk about the great things that it has. Very light. We have a lowering kit on this one, 2 inches to be exact, and I am 5'10", and I can flat foot this bike. And I love that it's lowered. It made it very easy for me to learn and just get really comfortable with it. You do have that more aggressive seating position. If you're a bigger guy, a bigger girl, 5'10", 6 foot, around that, you are going to be just fine with this bike. Any bigger and you might run into some lower back problems, because eventually my 6 foot tall husband got to where he was having very bad back problems with this bike because it is a little bit on your smaller side. This bike really handles the turns really well, the corners. I have never felt so safe on a bike like I have this one, even in the rain. I just don't feel like this bike will ever get out of your control unless you are on it doing dumb things that you probably shouldn't have been doing to begin with. Yeah, you can learn wheelies on this thing. Yeah, you can track this bike, and yeah, you can haul butt on the interstate. This bike will literally do everything, but it's going to do it at a controlled manner where you don't end up getting yourself hurt. So I really hate to see this bike go. It is my favorite bike that we own. I love the look of it. I love the black, the shiny black. It's not matte. It's perfect. We upgraded a few things on it. We upgraded the seats to a more squishy, comfortable seat, because the seats that come on the Yamahas and just any bike are not always your best. It already had frame sliders and the lowering kit on it when we got it, and then we upgraded our turn signals to the blue LED. And then we upgraded the exhaust system. I will pull the phone off of that and show you that as well. But other than that, we didn't do anything. Oh, no, we did get the tail tidy. We did get the fender eliminator on here. So quad lock came on it as well. But other than that, we did nothing to this bike. Just small, minor upgrades that everybody kind of does to motorcycles nowadays. Oh, and yeah, we did get the tank grips too. I keep forgetting things. So if you are my piece of advice, if you are looking at an R7 as your first bike, do it. You will not be unhappy. You cannot go wrong with the Yamaha R7. A lot of people now are starting to track these bikes. I would have loved to take this one to the track, but just never was in the cards for us at the moment. We're just now starting our motorcycle journey, just now starting my YouTube channel. So right now it just isn't the time for it. But within time, if I ever do decide I want to try to track a bike, I will be back on Facebook Marketplace looking for one of these. I hope I can get one as smooth as this bike. That is my biggest thing about letting it go. I'm just afraid we're never going to find the comfort level and the smoothness that we have in our own personal R7. But there's always room for growth. We will find another one that gives them time to kind of come down in price on Marketplace a little bit. And the R9's out there as well. So I would love to try that one and see if it compares to the agility of the R7 and if it drives as smooth and rides as smooth as the R7. So I'm very curious and excited to find out all of those things. There's only one thing that I don't care for about the R7, and a lot of people also say the same thing about it. This bike in first gear is super, super torquey. It's not so torquey to where you're going to accidentally pop wheelies or, it's going to like slide out from under you or anything. I've never had that problem. It's just in first gear. This to me is not really a first gear bike. It's a second gear bike. As soon as I roll out of my driveway in it, before I even hit the pavement, I'm already upshifted into second gear because it's just so much smoother. This is a beautiful bike. And again, if you are looking for an R7 as your first bike, or if you're looking for an R7 as an upgrade to a bike that you have, or whatever the cost, I honestly do not believe that you will ever be unhappy with the bike. The only thing is it has, again, like I mentioned previously, it has that 72 to 74 horsepower range, which is not a ton, but this bike is incredibly fun. So fun. It rides like a dirt bike. It's easy. Once you get on this bike, once you go to a bigger bike and ride a 600 or a 1000, you come back to this bike, you can flick this thing around and just have so much fun and not be worried about getting hurt on this thing. This is her last day in her full glory in our garage, in Jenn.speedd's garage. And she deserves a video. She deserved to be talked highly about and really put on a pedestal, rating this bike a 9 out of 10 for a motorcycle. If you want to shoot me for that, if you want to comment on here and tell me how wrong I am, go ahead. You're not going to change my mind. Out of comparing this bike, the R7 and the R6, the R7 gets a 9 out of 10, and my rating for an R6 is an 8 out of 10. So this is my favorite bike. I own both, by the way. I own an R6 at 2009 Raven Edition. Some of the best years ever made were the 2008 and 2009 year models of the R6, and this is a 23 R7. And my R6 is highly tuned, and that bike is quick, but nothing trumps the comfort level of this bike and the fact that you can just comfortably lay that thing over and have so much fun. So I'm gonna do a quick all around view of the bike. If you're looking at an R7 or just want to see one up close and personal on a YouTube video, here is the full walk around of the Yamaha R7. She's a great looking bike. Here's the exhaust that we put on the R7. So we did the KO Lightning exhaust. We got that from eBay, and I also have that on a previous video on my channel as well. So if you want to check that out, see about install or whatever, I have that on too. And we picked the blue and purple one because it just goes so well with this bike. With that being said, this is my final send off for my very first motorcycle I've ever owned, the 2023 Yamaha R7. This bike has so many memories on it, memories that I'll forever be thankful for. I'm getting choked up over here. I truly found my passion in life when we got this R7, and I started as a backpack, something I still love to do. I still love to backpack on the back of a motorcycle with my husband. I found my passion when I found motorcycles, and something I can say before is I was never truly passionate about anything. I didn't have hobbies. I didn't find any hobbies that I just loved to do and would never see myself getting tired of. And I can truly say that sport bikes are it. I have finally found a passion in life that I never get tired of, and I want to make a job, a career from it. I want to do this every day. I want to record content. I want to show these bikes to you, to the world, and just be around motorcycles every day if I can. My beloved R7, she's ready to go. She's ready for a new home. And there's not much more I can say about this bike other than it is just phenomenal. I hope she's just as happy, and I hope the new owner loves her and takes care of her as much as we did. The R7 to a new owner. Bye, baby. So with that, that concludes my video. Make sure you subscribe to Jenn.speedd. It's double D's on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. It's only 1D. So like this video, you guys. Comment. Let me hear your thoughts on the R7. I want to know what you think about the R7. You're not going to change my mind. I think it's a great bike, but I love some friendly conversation in the comments. Share this video and make sure you subscribe. Okay? See you next time.